Hey everyone, this is going to be my first look at a LEGO Ninjago Season 14 set. It's the Jungle Dragon. It's an island-themed season, and the set comes with 2 islanders plus 2 ninja, the Jungle Dragon, of course, and a little side build. The dragon's nickname is Zippy, and the primary color here is teal. There are a lot of teal pieces in this. The build is not too complex, doesn't take too long, but it does use some interesting build techniques that aren't quite normal, especially for this bend right here on the back so that the haunches are always kind of up in the air, and you'll see how that affects its action as well. The wings are not particularly all that wing-like. You know, they use this large sword-based design that they've done a number of times, and these are relatively small ones, so you're not going to get a lot of aerodynamic effect from those, but that's okay, because this is more of a leaping more ancient Asian style of dragon as opposed to the European style that are focused on wing-based travel. Funny thing about this is the head. So he looks, it looks kind of dog-like, and indeed in the show acts quite a bit like a dog and is just like a big old puppy. So you got the tongue hanging out the side there. This actually looks really good here. If you don't look at the whole thing, you could almost see a serious face there. But then as soon as they bring in the tongue, it's like, no, this is just something you want to pet and maybe play fetch with a coconut or something. I'm just saying. Around the other side, though, now that eye looks very serious. However, it's an eye of just being serious about catching a coconut, playing fetch. This set does have quite a few stickers. The head itself is printed very nicely, but then this top part here is done with a sticker. As you can see, another sticker there, another sticker over there, another sticker there. There's so many stickers. Okay, so it's got a saddle so you can put a single person there, and let me show you the articulation. First of all, like I said, the tail is designed to wag, so it can just be wagged back and forth as opposed to the typical lashing and slashing motion where, you might see these as being used for attacks. This is just like a kind of happy-go-lucky sort of look, and if you just manipulate it right from here, you can, there we go, get that to happen. That actually works really well. I mean, the build for this is super simple with some repeated joints along the way, but that works nicely. It's almost like a rattle the way that it's built up. Articulation in the legs is okay. I mean, you've got these, you can move them forward, you can move them back. You got the wrists that can be, or ankles that can be moved forward and back as well. And they're covered up pretty well in the sense of not having a lot of parts that are miscolored, interior parts that are of different strange colors just to make it obvious when you're building the thing. So it looks pretty good from most angles. I can see a little bit of orange just through there, but it's no big deal. You look at it from the underside, and again, it's pretty consistent. I can see some yellow inside, but it's not too bad. It almost looks like just a darker or maybe a little bit brighter version of the gold. I don't know. It just doesn't stand out. So I think they did a decent job here of making this look serious enough, something that maybe a younger fan can enjoy and then still be proud of later on in life. The head has a couple of joints for the neck, so that can go up and move side to side a bit. You can rotate, which is good. The head itself is on a separate ball joint, so if I want to bring the neck down and then bring the head up, I can do that. And obviously, you already saw the jaw. It's actually able to get a big underbite like that or be a little bit more closed. The tongue can actually be retracted in just a little bit, or you can remove that entirely to be able to close the mouth up a bit more. The horns on this are interesting, a little bit different. Feels a little bit like a longhorn to me. But the key thing here is that this bend in the spine cannot be changed. So that is static. That is always there. There's no actual joint piece inside of that. So if you wanted this to have more of a flowing, leaping look, that's just too bad. I think a joint in the center that you could actually articulate would have been nicer in that sense, but this is the way they chose to do it, so it's covered up pretty well from the sides. And then the wings, such as they are, sorry about that, did not intend to do that, but they're on ball joints, and you can do a lot of things with them because you can bring them way forward, you can bring them way back, you can articulate the individual feathers or phalanges. It's all just done as one thing, but again, this is not intended to be a super flighty dragon in that sense, in that literal sense. But there's enough there that you can imagine it, I think. The side build is just a small watercraft for Zane, hence the white color. And it just has a sail there, a couple of stud shooters, one on either side, so that you can fire off a little bit straightforward. This doesn't have any real motion to it other than being able to change the angle of the sail. It's kind of designed to look like a windsurfer, but it's powered. I think it may have repulsors built in, so it's able to hover. You can use, if you wish, you can use these swords to actually, be taken off and used as weapons, but of course it's Zane, so he's probably not going to be using katanas. Zane is presently indisposed, getting ready for his glamour shot, so I'm just going to put a random minifigure in there to show you. You've got that one spot to have somebody standing and preferably looking forward at where they're going. There's Zane on the right, like I said, all set up for his glamour shot, alongside Lloyd, who gets a little bit of a combination Ninjago movie / Tournament of the Elements, early / rebooted kind of look, but then with the jungle thing going on. And he's got a little, well, we're going to look at the faces by themselves. The key MacGuffin of this season is just this one item here, the Storm Amulet, which is a unique mold, dual molded, looks really good. You can hold it in 3 positions, as you can see there. It's just really, really well produced, I think. It is a shame, though, that you cannot attach it directly to its faces. Like I would expect one side of it, it's almost completely symmetrical. I would expect one side of it to have a stud or an anti-stud, just for completeness's sake. The prints for these guys look pretty decent. Like the designs, I think, have nice levels of detail, and I think the artwork there, the art direction, the art style is pretty good, although there's not the best printing for Zane's leg pieces there. It was a little bit off. Let me take some stuff off so you can see underneath. The prints on the backs of these torsos, I think, look really good. Production work there is good. And again, the artwork, the art design, visual design work is very nice, graphic design work. Zane gets no alternate face because if he had one, you would see it, at all times. So he just has the data port, which makes sense. And both versions of Lloyd's head, or Lloyd's face here, have the stripes. There we go. Got a little bit stuck there. Have the stripes that represent his camouflage for his jungle Rambo theme thing that he's doing. Looking at the bad guys, question mark. On the left is the Thunder Keeper, and on the right is Polaric. I don't know the exact proper pronunciation for it, but it's 2 characters in one, so you can just call them Paul and Eric if you want, depending upon which face that you want to look at. Once again, the artwork, the graphic design work here is stellar. I think that's really just good stuff. Just generally speaking, they brought in more of the teal colors for the prints on the torsos and legs and such, and the production work is very nice. The mask is done pretty well over here. And you can see there's printing around the back of each of the heads there. Now, if I take this mask off, okay, printing on the backs of these torsos, identical. Printing on the fronts, identical. The production work over here, unfortunately, is a little bit thick on the black, just on the back, the way that it was stamped. But turning them back, you can see that this head is the same as the lower head over here. Here are the leftover pieces, as well as the spent sticker sheet. This did, like I said, feel like a lot of stickers for this size of set, especially because most of them were applied in a very, very small space, just very quickly, rapid fire. You have to apply a bunch of the stickers. Fortunately, if you hate stickers, you can just leave them off, because I think the dragon will look just fine without them. They just add a little bit of extra detail with some little runes. So the set comes with 506 pieces and sells for $40 US. That gives it a very, very nice price to part ratio. Very nice indeed. Very generous price to volume of stuff, however. It's actually pretty decent too, because the size of the dragon is not particularly small. It's not huge, but it's pretty sizable, and importantly, it's not hollow. It's not like one of the Prime Empire dragons. It's kind of minimized. Of course, those were intended to be, digital and blocky for that reason, but they were kind of simplified. But this feels nice. This feels solid. The build felt satisfying. The level of detail is good there, and yeah, I feel like the amount of stuff, including 4 well-printed figures and a perfectly usable side build. It has a nice level of detail, but doesn't use too many pieces. You know, doesn't pad things up unnecessarily. I think that's all good. Teal Dragon. Who would have expected Lego in the 2020s to make a teal dragon? Certainly a few years back, we would not have expected it ever, because, you know, teal was long gone, and then they brought it back, and then so many fans rejoiced. Yes, the return of teal, and it's the real deal. It's the actual original color. They've matched it, so we can still use our older pieces. And now they have made a teal dragon. Are they using teal too much? I think in the case of this set, the answer is no. But I am worried. I have to admit, I have genuine concern for Lego's possible fledgling obsession with teal, because so many people gave them positive feedback about that color coming back. I feel like Lego is very reactionary like that, and they may be going a little bit too far. In this case, no. In this case, it's perfectly fine. This looks good. I like the color. I like the accents, like just the general sensibility for design here is good. And when you see this on screen in the actual animated series, mini-series, whatever it is, I think it looks even better there. And this is a good representation of that. Captures its character well. I really wish that bent up or bent back, arched back could be corrected easily just with the parts included in the set. You know, you can actually joint it, you know, so you can bend it if you want. Other than that, I don't really have anything negative to say about this. I'm even fine with the wings, given how this thing looks and works in the animation, I'll just call it. So yeah, pretty happy with this. A lot of stickers around here, but you can leave them off. Like I said, you don't really lose much if those are gonna bug you. Pretty decent set. Definitely my favorite of the season 14, quote unquote season 14 sets that they've released. I don't know if they'll do any more. Maybe, you know, at some point in the future, we'll get legacy versions of things from this season, but from what they've done so far, this is definitely my favorite. A lot of character in this character, the dragon itself. I did the real-time build for this and also a speed build. So if you want to check out one of those, hit the appropriate link in the end screen and or the video description. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.